Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to our, I think it's our third day in the 7daysofrest.org. And today we're working with the color yellow. A beautiful, sacred geometry of fruit. I think sometimes we don't pause enough to look at the beauty and smell the freshness. Our olfactory is one of our most ancient senses, so it'll connect us to our youngest memories, our sense of smell. Lemons and a lot of citrus fruit have such a restoration energy to them. So remember, sometimes if you're traveling long distances, keep some of your peels with you. Try not to squirt any in the eye, but you're just going to have a little piece of your peel with you. And if you're getting tired, instead of stopping for a coffee, you can just squirt a little bit of that lemon essence into your nose. So we're going to take a little pause here at the very beginning. We're going to close our eyes. And we're going to bring in the feeling and the sensation of yellow. Just pause for a minute and see how the color yellow makes you feel. Just looking at a bundle of tulips or daffodils. Or as a child, I used to forage flowers and eat buttercups in the field next to me. Tiny, beautiful little buttercups in a wild field. Back when there were still lots of butterflies. The yellow wings and the contrast to the yellow and the black of the monarch. The big, beautiful monarch butterflies that would flutter to the yellow and the sunflowers. And the yellow squash growing in my garden in the autumn and in the gardens everywhere. And the yellow lemon tree that my friend Paige from Climate Healers says is growing so abundantly right now in her home in California. She said, "Oh, Tami, I wish you could come and have some of my lemons off my tree." So I just closed my eyes and transported myself to her lemon tree. So let's take a nice deep breath and bring in the color yellow. In the chakra of our solar plexus. Solar plexus is a huge area of where the big bundles of our nerves meet. Just at the apex of where our ribs join, just below our sternum. It's called our solar plexus chakra. And it is where our will meet divine will. So that will be our mantra today. Beautiful Creator, may my will always align with divine will. May I remember that what is mine and what is ours and what is rightfully returning to purity and cleansing and nourishment of ourselves is the nourishment of the planet, is the nourishment of Mother Earth and all her peoples. We come back ever so gently. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's very early morning here, and I was just complaining for a moment before I got on here with my people that are present to this little video that we're doing today, is that I'm in forced air all the time right now in Canada. It's quite cold, and we're going to go into about -30 weather for about a week and a half over the holidays. But I got lemon. So what we're going to do every morning, if we have lemon or lime, and remember to save some of your peels to rejuvenate you during the day. This is where the essential oil is made, in the peel. Just a little squirt under your nose. Just completely restores you. So I'm going to put half a lemon, and you can put a whole one if you have it, but I'm going to save half for the dressing, the beautiful creamy cashew hemp heart sauce that we're making for our yellow spaghetti squash. So half a lemon, the whole liter of water. And I want to talk a little bit about what you can do with lemons or limes. My grandchildren, they love fresh lemonade. And I know that most people don't use any added sugars into their food, but I do use a little bit of pure maple syrup from where my family harvests it from the maple trees. And I use that to make lemonade for my grandchildren. So I will blend up a lemon, sometimes two, if they seem to be fighting a little bit of winter blues, a little bit of winter colds, and a tiny bit of maple syrup. And I'll blend that up and I'll strain it and make them a lemonade when they come over. And it's one of their most favorite things. So there's lots of alternatives to the stuff that we drink from cans and from bottles that actually nourish us. It's all about our nourishment. So this morning I'm going to add half a lime because I'm running a little short of lemons. And the gift of being a kitchen magician is to be able to just use what we have at hand. So I'm putting in half a lime, or you could put in a whole lemon if you have lots. I'm not going to add any sweetener because we want to just allow the liver to detoxify in the morning. And we're going to do that. The liver loves tart and pungent foods. So in the spring, I eat tons and tons of dandelions. The liver loves that. It loves really tart and bitter foods. It helps it flush. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with the lemons here. Also the kidneys. Flushes the kidneys in the morning, lemon water. It's amazing what we've been doing with just one blender over this week. So I'm just going to put it through the strainer because when the body doesn't have to break down pulp in the morning, it can just continue a nice detoxification process. And that's the only reason we're not having the pulp. Pulp is really good for us. The pulp and the fiber of food is our prebiotics. And my master's research, when I did my master's on the microbiome and plant-based nutrition, it talked a lot about how the prebiotics, which is the fiber that feeds the probiotics, is actually more important than the probiotics. Cheers. This is such a nice way to serve up people over the holidays or anytime. And you know, the beautiful thing about working with lemon water and fresh food is that even in the winter, when we're covered with snow and I'm not seeing any beautiful chlorophyll trees, I'm seeing beautiful white colored trees, and white is a beautiful therapy within its own. But just serving these beautiful elixirs or infused waters like we're doing over these 7 days of all the different colors, people are like, this is really nice. And the other thing you can do with this, let me just give you one more tip here. If you don't want to use anything like maple syrup, but you want it a little bit sweeter because maybe you're serving it to your people and they're expecting a little bit of a sweeter taste later in the day. And you can also warm this up and have a beautiful warm lemon water at night. So I'm just going to take 4 dates that I soaked. And I'm going to use my date water too because it's quite sweet. I'm going to put these in here and I'm going to blend this up. And then I'm going to strain it again. I'm going to make a little bit of a sweeter lemon water. The other thing I like to do in winter is I like to just put a pinch of cayenne in here. And the cayenne gives it a nice spicy warm. And in the winter, when you're eating a lot of raw food, it is the spicy or the flavorful food that has a little bit of a sharp spice to it that'll warm the body. So you don't always have to have cooked food. You can add something like cayenne. And cayenne is so much better for us than hot sauces and peppers because cayenne's a blood cleanser. And so I was at a wellness center, my first wellness center, and I went there because I was very sick with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's. And they had me putting cayenne on my a little bit of my raw food and in my drinks. And I'm like, wow, that's going to kill me, because I was still ulcered. And they said, no, it'll heal your ulcers. And it does. So a very, very small amount, not for stomach ulcers, but for the bowel ulcers. It also stops bleeding. I cut my finger really badly. I thought I needed stitches the other day. And I remembered at this wellness center, I stuck my hand in cayenne and it coagulates the blood right away. It burns a slight bit, not as much as anybody would think, and then it coagulates the blood. So just gonna blend this up a little bit. There we go. I'll strain off these dates. And I'm going to use them. They're still kind of hunky, and I'm going to use them for the next. I'm going to use them for the cheese that I'm making next, the cashew cheese. It's the one thing I love to do and I love to teach is how to keep things really simple and how you don't really actually have to clean up till the very end. So you start with your liquid stuff you're making, then you go on to something a little bit thicker and then a little bit thicker. That's what we've been doing. And I've been doing with Rebecca every morning. So we make our waters, then we make our smoothies, and then we make whatever our next thing is, our sauce or whatever we're making in the blender next. So this is going to give it a little touch of sweetness, and maybe I'm going to put a pinch of cayenne in if I'm feeling kind of cold. It's delicious. And sometimes people just soak the dates and use the dates for something else, and then just use the date water to make their lemonade. But I would still use just straight lemon in the morning. That was delicious. Now we're going to go on to make, this is a beautiful spaghetti squash. I love spaghetti squash. It's so yellow and versatile. Doesn't have anything on it. I'm going to heat this a little bit just before I go to serve it because I like my spaghetti squash warm. And we're going to make a sauce this morning. So I'm actually going to take this lemon. I have a little bit of lemon in the strainer. I'm going to put it right back in my blender. A little bit of date in it, that's fine. I'm actually going to take a little bit of my lemon water that I just made for this sauce, or you can use lemon, but I'm also going to use half a lemon. So what we're making is a cashew hemp heart cheese sauce, but you can use any nut or seed you want. Remember, if it's not a white seed like a hemp heart or a cashew, it needs to be soaked. And the easiest way to do that is overnight and rinse off the water because it has phytic acid in it. It's an enzyme inhibitor, and you don't want that in your nuts and your seeds, okay? But the white ones seem to be fine. They don't worry so much about soaking the cashews or the macadamia nuts or the hemp hearts. You never have to soak hemp hearts. And so because this isn't an issue, I'm going to use the water also in my cashews, usually. But right now I'm going to drain them because I have enough liquid in my blender. As you can see, this isn't a professional video. I just woke up, I look all sleepy, but that's our authentic self coming through. And we want it to be, you get up in the morning and you make your food and you do it joyfully, and then you're ready all day, okay? That's what Rebecca's been finding. So I have half a cup of cashews here. And I'm gonna peel most of my lemon because I want the sauce to be quite creamy. So here's a half a lemon. I'm gonna use about 3 or 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. The lemon's gonna make it tart, like kind of tart and that kind of tart taste like a cheese has. But I can actually turn it into a probiotic cheese overnight, leaving it on the counter with a little bit of probiotic. I'm going to use something called EM, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that after I'm done making the recipe. So about 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. I'm going to use just a nice small teaspoon of miso. It gives it kind of that smoky, cheesy taste, and it's also gives it a little bit of a salty taste. And a half a cup of pepper. At the end of the 7 days, there's going to be a booklet. You're going to have all these recipes that we're making over the 7 days. Not good at measuring. Here we go. And I'm just going to blend this up till it's nice and creamy. want to make sure you have enough liquid. So if it's stopping and it's not quite blending, then you're just going to add a touch more liquid, whatever you want to do. You add a little bit more lemon, but I think I have plenty of liquid in there to make my cheese. If it seems a little thin, remember it's going to get quite a bit thicker. It's going to get quite a bit thicker in the fridge. This is a cheese I made yesterday, and I wanted it to look a little orange. You know how some people like cheese whiz as children? Do you remember I talked about that anything in our orange day yesterday, everything that we crave as children, I used to eat cheese whiz on celery, okay? Cheese whiz, plastic in a container. This was a cheese whiz I made yesterday. Look at how beautiful this looks. And I spread it on my celery and I had that for a snack. And that's the same recipe, but I added two red peppers, 2 baby red peppers to make it look orange, but they were red. And I was going to add these yellow ones into this cheese to make it look more yellow. And I added a little bit of turmeric. So look at how beautiful that cheese looks. And I had it in the fridge overnight, and I'm going to leave it out today and put a little bit of so if you have a capsule of probiotic, you can open up your probiotic and put it in and leave it on the counter overnight to culture into a cheese. I use a liquid called EM. It stands for effective microorganisms. And I just use half a teaspoon of EM, or even a quarter. And this will last, once it's fermented, it's going to last in the fridge for probably at least a week, because it's a culture. And my grandchildren love it. I also, with some of my pulp, I also make crackers in my dehydrator, and then I'll spread this on them just before they're completely dehydrated. And I'll make a little bit of a tomato sauce. We're going to make something really funky tomorrow for our holidays. We'll add all these colors together. I sprinkle some of my tomato sauce on there, and I put it in my dehydrator to warm it up, and I make a raw pizza. So stay tuned for that. So here's the cheese I just made, and it looks a little thinner, but it's going to thicken up quite a bit in the fridge. Doesn't that look beautiful? And now I can take that and I can pour it onto my spaghetti squash. So we're going to look at what Rebecca's doing there. I have my beautiful trusty friend, and she's going to show us her squash and the sauce she made, and she's going to pour it over her spaghetti squash and top it up with a little bit of color, maybe some cilantro. It's Rebecca. Every morning for the last couple of weeks, I think we're going into our 3rd week. Rebecca's been following along in the morning and having all her food prepared for the day. Look at that beautiful selection of food on there.
Good morning. All right. Well,
good morning.
This is my sauce. It turned into a little green because when you said probiotic, I thought, oh, that might be my spirulina, which I'm not familiar with. So I put a little bit of that in there, but yeah, that's that.
It's beautiful. Spirulina is a blue-green algae. It's a really nice protein.
Ah, okay. And I love
green festive. You can put a little bit of spirulina. I've often done that to make my sauces look festive. I'll add a little bit of spirulina to give it a nice green. And so if you've already put your sauce on and you decide that you don't want that much of whatever you've prepared, then you can still warm it up after with the sauce on it.
Right. Well, I love baking.
You're going to pour it right into your shell. I love it. Wouldn't that be beautiful to serve it like that?
Yes.
Wow. Look at that. Gorgeous.
Yeah. That's a beautiful idea. I love it.
I've often served my favorite cucumber, pepper, tomato, avocado salad that I just toss some fresh lemon. Sometimes I just put a tablespoon of my fresh cold pressed hemp oil on there because I can get it right from the farmer, and a little bit of salt. And then I serve it right back in the avocado. The avocado shell skin, I guess, on a plate along with other food. So it's really fun being part of a whole food community where we're preparing food and making it beautiful and inviting. And love that. Can you show us your spaghetti squash one more time, Rebecca?
Yes.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And I want to tell you, I roasted the seeds and tasted them, and they were delicious.
And in the spring, when you scoop out your squash, or any time where you are, because it's not, it doesn't get that wintry, you can just scoop out your squash and lay your seeds and stuff under the trees and stuff for the birds, because they just love that. They just love being able to come and have your seeds, but before they're cooked, because most beings in the wild do not cook their food. They like everything in its original state. And the other thing with the organic squashes, my girlfriend kept all of her seeds this spring from her organic squashes, and her squash were beautiful in her garden this year, way beautiful, way nicer than the squash that she grew, that she got seeds the year before from a package. So I like your lemon water, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Right? Yeah. I know. I love my lemon water. It makes me feel like spring every day, when I'm feeling a little bit, oh, it's so wintry. And then I make lemon water and I feel all fresh again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tami.
Thank you. We'll close our eyes and maybe we'll do a little closing prayer. Maybe we'll put both of our hands on our solar plexus. So that's that little space where our ribs meet. And then there's a little space between our ribs, a little soft spot. And just feel yourself breathing in and out. Ah, beautiful creator, archangels of the highest order, the two-legged and the four-legged and the winged ones and the crawling ones and the swimming ones and the growing and the growing. Beautiful sunflowers that all the birds are eating these seeds, eating up all the little yellow apples from my crabapple trees. Birds have arrived to eat what's left in the winter. May we always remember to leave food. Don't have to harvest everything. We leave some for the animals as winter comes upon us. And it's so beautiful to watch the chickadees in the winter eat the last of the sunflower seeds from the great big sunflowers that were once yellow and now turning into compost. Give thanks for seeds, a new life. Give thanks for what feels like the yellow sun we used to draw as children. Beautiful rays that feel yellow and white light. Sun gazing in the morning, just as the sun's rising up and as it's going down, is a powerful way. We're solar beings, actually, from our solar plexus. Let's just imagine ourselves, we squint and we look at the sun as it's rising. Even for a few minutes, maybe there's a chant, I give thanks for the sun rising again, or maybe you're just still. And you do the same as the sun is setting, and you recharge yourself. You recharge yourself through your eyes. Keep your eyes open and you're squinting towards the sun. It doesn't harm your eyes as it's rising and as it's setting. We give thanks for the abundance in our kitchen and recognize that not everyone can choose their food. And we give thanks for the people coming together everywhere and feeding and making sure everyone has access to whole plant-based food. and sunshine and shelter. Let's take 3 deep breaths and come fully into our body with our exhalation, grounding ourselves to the earth. Thank you. Namaste, everyone.